So Caitlin Clark is I'm not going to say going to be traded, but the odds of Caitlin Clark playing out her entire rookie deal for the Indiana Fever are less than even. There's a greater than 50-50 chance that Caitlin Clark is traded before the end of her rookie deal. And that sounds crazy, but it isn't. A lot of people are talking about, they'll obviously choose Caitlin Clark over Stephanie White. It's not choosing Caitlin Clark over Stephanie White. This is a team that is put together to succeed for Stephanie White coaching without Caitlin Clark. And we said this, everybody said this coming into the season. The Indiana Fever put together a team to compete without Caitlin Clark, not a team to win with Caitlin Clark. There's not one thing that makes up for Caitlin's weaknesses. You don't have runners around her. You don't have shooters. You don't have rim protectors. You don't have stoppers. You've got a whole bunch of mediocre players who are mediocre at every single aspect of basketball, other than Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, who are now doing the same thing. Instead of Caitlin Clark being the point guard and being the orchestrator of everything and basically setting everything up for Kelsey Mitchell, it is now a contest between Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell to see who can put up the most bullshit when they're off the ball. Who can put up the most bullshit when they're off the ball? Because Caitlin Clark off the ball is trying to force rhythm, and obviously, Kelsey Mitchell is Kelsey Mitchell. She's a gunner. So now all of a sudden you're in a situation where you literally have two players fighting for the same shots, both playing their B game, by the way. Kelsey Mitchell's a better off-the-ball player than on-the-ball player. You've got two players playing their B game, and your team doesn't get good shots. It's not going to work because Stephanie White has a way she wants her team to play. That whole thing is under her assumption that she's going to change Caitlin Clark. And Stephanie White, from the second she set foot in the Fever, did not like Caitlin Clark, the player. She said, okay, Caitlin Clark's easy to game plan against, so my job is to make it harder to game plan against her. And I'm like, okay. But instead, she's overcorrected now, and Caitlin Clark is no longer has the ball in her hand. And now, as I've said from preseason, Caitlin Clark's impact comes down to makes or misses. And she's had some unbelievable games this season. Why? Because she's had some games this season where she just can't miss. She's had some games this season where she has looked absolutely exceptional scoring-wise, where she looks like she can't miss, where she goes through spells in games where she is on fire, and she's been an unbelievable scorer at times. The problem is that there were games back in the day when Caitlin Clark would not score and she played well. That is not possible right now in Steph's system. And, I mean this. We have now got a situation where you have to make a choice if you're the Fever. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The earlier you make the choice, you can salvage this season. There's a potential. You can salvage this season in two ways. You have two ways to salvage this season. You can salvage the season by trading Caitlin Clark or by getting rid of every single thing. If you don't trade Caitlin Clark, let's be real. Even if Stephanie White is gone and you appoint the greatest coach in the world, this team's not equipped to win. They're just not. To win, if you don't trade Caitlin Clark, you would have to literally, this is what you would have to give up. You would have to give up the entire coaching staff. You'd have to get rid of them all because they're a package deal. Amber Cox and Kelly Krauskopf are a package deal. Again, outside of Amber, every single person I mentioned involved with the Indiana Fever last winning a championship. Lynn Dunn, you just keep Lynn Dunn, because why not? You would have to get rid of Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull. Maybe you keep Sophie. You have to get rid of one of Sophie or Lexi Hull. Lexi's on a near untradeable contract, and you have to get rid of Monique Billings. You have to potentially give up assets to get rid of them. You have to find a way to get off Kelsey Mitchell because they're not going to work. It is one of these weird things where if you have to start from scratch. If you want to build through Caitlin, you have to start from scratch and realize that you fucked up bad. You fucked up bad, and that every decision has been made since the firing of Christie sides, which was the right decision, by the way. But every decision made by the team since the firing of Christie sides, outside of hardship players, which were, by the way, replacements for Caitlin Clark, have been wrong decisions. Have been flat out wrong decisions. Or you can trade Caitlin Clark. And if you trade Caitlin Clark, you can give Stephanie White a team that she wants to coach. You can give Stephanie White a team that she wants to coach that are going to make the playoffs. Maybe, I think first round is best of 5. They'll never win they would have never won a best of 5 series against Atlanta. I'm just putting it out there. They were never going to win best of 5. A shorter series meant that you can have an upset. But you make the playoffs, you lose in the first round. What teams can potentially trade for Caitlin? Everyone says the Liberty. The Liberty cannot trade for Caitlin. You know what? The Liberty might be able to. So, short term, BLH apparently, from rumblings, is that she's not particularly happy because she can't, because they're not going to offer a big contract next year. BLH, Pauline Astier, and Satu for Caitlin and Lexi. And maybe New York throws in a first. That's one of those trades where you're like, okay, I think the money works out. I think the money's near even for them. And you add in, you add in Grace Van Slooten with that. You just add in one of the minimum contract players. I think that money works. Then you immediately waive Grace Van Slooten. And you, maybe keep Grace. So maybe the Liberty can get her. For the Chicago Sky, the asking price, and again, I don't think Caitlin wants to go to Chicago, but the asking price from Chicago, it's tough to match contracts, but it's like you send Dijonay back for Caitlin. You give up probably both Atlanta picks. And who else? Dijonay for Caitlin and Atlanta picks, maybe. Maybe that does it. And you give up a pick swap for 29. For the Toronto Tempo, you give up this year's first round pick and Kiki Rice, and Julie Alamon maybe, and you take Caitlin Clark. Maybe you don't take if Portland won't give up Kiki Rice. It's a first round pick, a pick swap, Julie Alamond, and I was like, you can't trade any of the big hitters. And maybe you get Temi back and you give out money Billings in that trade as well. But it's crazy. Because 6 months ago, a Caitlin Clark trade would have literally looked like Paige Bueckers, the number 1 pick, which became in the 2026 draft, and Dallas's first round pick in 2027. That's probably what a Caitlin Clark trade looked like. And now it's at the stage where teams know that the Indiana Fever are kind of fucked. They're fucked. They can't keep Caitlin. If they're going to keep Caitlin, they're going to lose. They're going to lose a bunch of games. There is no way, unless Caitlin goes rogue, that fans are going to keep caring. You've already made your money. Caitlin's not as valuable as she is money-wise. You can't get people to show up to home games. You don't make money off your jersey sales. Your jersey sales that people were buying for Caitlin Clark, that goes to the whole league. You don't make money as much money off gate revenue. It's at the stage now where there's so few people showing up to games. If you're losing if you're selling 3,000, 4,000 below capacity, your arena's probably working at a loss if you're opening up the whole arena. So your arena's possibly working at a loss. It's why the Sparks don't open the Upper Bowl. The Fever are getting very close to having to financially shut down the Upper Bowl of their stadium. The financial reasons for keeping Caitlin Clark in as a member of the Fever aren't there anymore. They're not there anymore. The Indiana Fever are one of the worst run organizations they have been for a long time. And the thing is that they can't even set themselves up long term with a Caitlin Clark trade, I don't think. But I'm going to be real. I don't think there's any coming back between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. Like it's too far. It's too far gone. Like it is absolutely it's too far gone. Caitlin Clark is not a good offensive player in Caitlin Clark's in Stephanie White's system. And I'm sorry, and they switch everything. Switch old school, switch everything. You're responsible for your man. Fuck help side defense system that Stephanie White's running. Caitlin's not a good enough defender. And especially she's not a good enough defender when her other guards are Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull, who are in fact worse point of attack defenders than her. They are worse isolation defenders than her. So she is the best of the three of them, which is a problem. I mean that. It is a problem. I'm not saying that Caitlin Clark's a good perimeter defender, because she's not. But she is like, on a good day, she's a 6 out of 10. On a bad day, she's a 4 out of 10 when she's locked in. Like, she is an equivalent as a defender in space to maybe a Paige. Paige is better. Caitlin's better as a weak side roamer, and Paige is better as in tight space. Paige's hands are quicker on the ball. Either way, like, it feels like Stephanie White wants to play a certain way, and it's at the stage now where Caitlin's just given up. Like, Caitlin has just given up. And I think, like, people said they drafted Kate Raven to replace Caitlin. It's starting to feel like they did. And if you're the Indiana Fever again, you have a point guard that does what Stephanie White wants out of a point guard in Raven Johnson. Does it matter that teams literally don't guard Raven Johnson? Teams pretend Raven Johnson is not on the floor and you play 4v5 because coaches aren't idiots. Coaches aren't idiots. They're going to be like, yeah, we're going to let Raven drop 20. No. But I'm sorry, like, the odds of Caitlin Clark getting traded are extremely high. It'll be better and it's at the stage now where we're talking about it, and it very well could be better for both parties, because the roster that the Fever have right now, the salary they're tied into next season as well. Let's not forget, the Fever are tied in to $1.5 million. They're tied into a Supermax and Aaliyah and $1.5 million to Lexi Hull and Monique Billings. Like, Caitlin, they mightn't even offer Caitlin the Epic extension. They mightn't even offer her the Epic. That's the crazy thing. They mightn't be even able to afford to give her the Epic extension. So you're looking at it, and if you, from an organizational standpoint, to make up for the fuck-ups of the last year, how hard, it's going to be extremely difficult to do so. It's going to take 2-3 years, and by then, Caitlin's 1 year away from being able to walk. Because you better believe she's not signing one day over 6 years. She'll be there for worst case scenario, she's there for 6 years. And suddenly you go into year 4, 5, 6. You've got, what, 1 year of Caitlin Clark, 2-3 years down the line, when your stadium's selling out 12,000 tickets. Or you can cash in on her now, and you can try to give Stephanie White a roster that she wants to coach and hope for the best. The craziest thing is that firing Stephanie White doesn't do anything. This roster's dog shit. Ironically, if you take Caitlin Clark off this team, the best coach in the WNBA for this specific roster at turning a complete dog shit roster into mediocre is Stephanie White. That is her bread and butter. That is what she excels at. She excels at turning a team that nobody thinks has a chance of doing anything into a competent team. The problem is, she's got a maverick point guard. She doesn't want that. She doesn't need that. She doesn't know how to hide it. She has no idea what to do with Caitlin Clark on either end of the floor. And it's at the stage now where Caitlin's strengths on offense aren't being used and her weaknesses on both ends are being exploited. To the extent where Caitlin Clark might be a net negative in Stephanie White's system. The only times we see positive Caitlin Clark is when she goes rogue, which Stephanie White clearly has not been happy about. She's not sabotaging a team in the way that she's trying to lose games by doing it. We can hear in press conferences, when Caitlin goes berserk in games, she's never happy. Why? Because she's gone rogue. Anytime Caitlin goes berserk in a game, she has gone rogue. She's done the opposite of what Stephanie White wants. This is a match made in hell. And the problem is that the Fever are too far in to fix it by just changing their coaches. It's going to take 2-3 years to fix their fuck-ups. And the problem is, by then, you've lost everything. But if you're the Indiana Fever and you can make some sort of a deal work, and you're like, from their perspective, You can make a deal work that you can afford Kelsey Mitchell next year, and you can run with, you can keep Lexi, you can keep Caitlin, you can keep Kelsey Mitchell. Sorry, not Caitlin, you can keep Lexi, you can keep Aaliyah, you can keep Kelsey Mitchell, and whatever you get for Caitlin, you have, and you can have some young assets or picks that you can trade for old washed vets. That works too. But I have a weird feeling Caitlin Clark's going to be traded. I really do.